We're plunging right into the United Nations Charter.
Yeah, signed back in 1945.
Exactly, right after 2 world wars.
Yeah.
I mean, the big mission was pretty clear. Save future generations from the scourge of war.
And also, importantly, reaffirming faith in equal rights of men and women and of nations large and small. That phrase itself is interesting.
It really is.
And what's fascinating, I think, is how this one document sets up the rules, the playbook for international relations.
Especially around these 2 huge concepts.
Right. What exactly is a nation versus a state, according to this framework anyway?
And then there's that really powerful idea of self-determination. You'd think they'd be straightforward, maybe, but the Charter actually navigates this, complex and sometimes pretty tense relationship between them.
Definitely tense.
So our mission today is really to unpack how the Charter defines these things. It puts states front and center, doesn't it, as the main legal players.
Absolutely. Sovereign equality, territorial integrity, non-interference, that's all state-focused language.
But then, at the same time, it holds up this right of peoples, note the different word there, peoples, to determine their own political path.
And we'll explore how that tension, that sort of duality, played out historically. Decolonization is the big one, obviously.
Yeah.
And how it still shapes things today. I mean, this isn't just some dusty old legal text. It's alive, it's evolving, and it genuinely impacts your world.
Okay, so let's unpack that state focus first. The Charter really builds its whole system around states, right?
Yeah.
As the fundamental units.
That's right. I mean, the preamble uses that poetic language, nations large and small, but when you get down to the nuts and bolts,
The legal muscle.
exactly, the operational principles, the obligations they apply to states, clearly define states.
And the bedrock, you said, is sovereign equality.
Yes. Every member state, doesn't matter how big or powerful, technically has the same legal standing, equal footing.
Which comes from that older idea, the Westphalian system.
Yeah, you can trace it back there. That 17th century idea that states are, the ultimate independent authorities within their own borders.
And because of that, the Charter is pretty fierce about protecting what's inside those borders.
Absolutely. Territorial integrity and political independence, shielding states from outside force or threats.
Plus that big rule, non-interference. The UN isn't supposed to meddle in purely domestic matters.
Right. Unless, and this is the crucial exception, unless it's deemed a threat to international peace and security.
Okay. But then, like you said, there's this other huge idea running alongside it.
Self-determination.
Which is listed right there as one of the UN's core purposes.
It is. To develop friendly relations among nations based on respect for the principle of equal rights and self-determination of peoples. Peoples, plural.
So it really does sound like a built-in conflict. Protecting existing state borders versus potentially allowing new entities, new peoples to form their own states. How did the UN handle that tension?
Well, the most dramatic arena for this was decolonization, no question.
Right after World War II.
Exactly. The Charter actually put obligations on the colonial powers. It told them they had to promote self-government, help these non-self-governing territories move towards independence.
So it gave a legal and, I guess, a moral backing to the whole decolonization movement.
A huge impetus. It fundamentally redrew the world map. Many of the UN members today exist because of that process, rooted in that self-determination principle.
Okay, that makes sense for colonies. But what about today? What if a group, a people, inside an existing country wants to determine its own future? Maybe even wants to break away.
That's where it gets much, much trickier.
I bet.
Outside that specific decolonization context, the international community and the UN system itself tends to prioritize the stability of existing states.
So keeping borders as they are.
Largely, yes. Secession by a group within a state is generally viewed as an internal matter for that state to handle, upholding its territorial integrity.
So how do they square that with the principle of self-determination?
Well, a distinction emerged, kind of a way to manage the tension. It's internal versus external self-determination.
Yep.
Internal self-determination refers to a people's right to, say, pursue their political, economic, social development within the borders of an existing state.
Yeah.
Think autonomy, self-governance arrangements.
Right.
External self-determination, meaning full independence, creating a new state that's seen as much more restricted, generally limited to those classic decolonization cases or situations of severe oppression, though even that is highly debated.
So because the UN is fundamentally an organization of states, it's sort of baked into the system to favor keeping those states intact?
Pretty much. Stability is often the paramount concern, which brings us back to a really critical and often unanswered question.
Yes.
Who exactly are the peoples who hold this right to self-determination? There's that famous quote from the World Court Judge Ivor Jennings. The people cannot decide until somebody decides who are the people.
That gets right to it.
Yeah. And because the UN is so state-focused, that definition of peoples often remains, let's say, strategically ambiguous. It allows for flexibility, but also potential conflict.
So let's pull this together. What does it all mean for us looking at the world today? We've seen the Charter trying this balancing act.
It's a masterful attempt, really. Protecting existing sovereign states, their borders, their internal affairs, while also championing this deep, fundamental right of peoples to choose their destiny.
But when push comes to shove,
especially outside that unique decolonization era, the international community usually leans towards state stability. Self-determination drove decolonization, no doubt. But after that,
the focus shifts back to preserving the existing map.
Often, yes. That ambiguity about who constitutes a people with the right to potentially break away, combined with the UN structure, means self-determination, while fundamental, is frequently interpreted in ways that uphold territorial integrity.
It's just a powerful reminder, isn't it? That even documents as foundational as the UN Charter aren't set in stone. They require constant interpretation, constant balancing, sometimes really tough choices.
Absolutely. And that dynamic tension, that push and pull between state stability and the aspirations of peoples, it's not historical. It's happening right now.
It defines conflicts we see today.
It shapes the geopolitical landscape constantly. Understanding this fundamental dynamic helps you see the complexities behind so many current events. From movements seeking more autonomy within countries.
Outright disputes over borders and national identity.
Exactly. It's a tension that's not going away. It demands continuous thought, adaptation, and, frankly, careful management.